This is the Spokane Soccer Show, proudly presented by Flatstick Pub, and I am your host, Benji Wade. Joining me to serve up only the best vibes about all things soccer in the fine city of Spokane, it's Mike Pellicio, Spokane Impact head coach. Sooner or later, you're just going to be Mike Pellicio. There's so much to catch up on. I need to do the podcast every 2 weeks. I will watch all the games still, because that's something I do no matter what. I will watch probably 95% of them in person. But what I can't do anymore, and I know this is going to make some people sad, Mike, I don't know if you're among them. We'll find out.
We'll find out shortly.
I'm taking your temperature by sizing you up right now and how you're going to respond emotionally with what I'm about to share. But I can't do the post-game things anymore. It means that I'm almost guaranteed to not have my family ever attend, because they're like, cool, well, dad's going to be home like 40 minutes after the game ends. And he gets there a little early, because I like to get there a little early. And then he's going to get home. He's going to take stuff off his stupid phone and upload it to YouTube. And I can't do it. That's the update. And I'm figuring that out. This podcast is going to start being recorded every 2 weeks on Thursdays. And then the episode will come out on Fridays. That's just the way it's going to be. And I'm really excited about that. Mike Pellicio, are you excited about that?
I am excited, and I support your decision to not do the post games. I think that
Thank you.
It makes it a lot more sustainable. I'm all about the balance.
When I ran into you at the Spokane Impact event, that tournament that we hosted here, you said something like that to me, and it meant a lot. You said, hey, I get it. I learned a long time ago that whatever I'm doing in my life, I have to do it in a way that's sustainable, and I maintain my love, enjoyment, whatever it is, because there's that relationship between the sustainability of something you're doing in your life, that if it's not scalable or sustainable, the joy goes away and then you don't want to do it. And I've never not wanted to do this podcast. I absolutely love it. Another thing that's going to happen, I had not been to Luger Field in 2025, Mike. And you know how much I love my Luger Field. That is where the Gonzaga soccer teams play. I was getting ready to leave the house a couple weeks ago on a Saturday night, and I texted you, and that was the night that Velocity were hosting Greenville Triumph, a game that we're going to talk about. And I said, hey, Mike, you can be at the game. And you're like, actually, a friend of mine. What did you tell me?
Shout out my friend Matt Hall.
Matt Hall, what's up?
Who's an assistant coach at USD. And since he was up here with the women's team, I said I would obviously want to go to watch his game.
Yeah.
And when you asked if I was going, I said, no, I'm actually going to do this. And you said?
I said, that's a great idea. I'm going to go to that. I'm going to go watch Gonzaga play that night. So instead of watching our beloved Spokane Velocity lose 1-0 in a not great game for them against Greenville, you and I watched Gonzaga put a beat down on, sorry to your friend Matt Hall. Gonzaga won 4-0. It was awesome. And Amelia Severn, Olivia Lester, shout out. I just want to say one quick thing about that. And I know you watched this game with me. Olivia, I did not know this about your game. I saw her try to play center half last year and was like, that does not look comfortable. She did not look effective in that role. Well, she's in the midfield this year, and she looks like a classic Gonzaga number 6 pivot, vis-a-vis, let's go back in time, Sophie Braun and Chelsea Lee, obviously. She just looked like another in the long lineage of spectacular 6s. So did you see some of that play that I'm talking about?
Yeah, she looked very comfortable.
Yeah.
I think that was a good way to describe it. I was like, center half? She was playing center half last year?
Isn't that crazy?
And you said that it just didn't compute.
Ran into your mutual friend, Todd. I'd say Todd is my friend now. Do you know Todd's last name?
Todd McCord.
Todd McCord. Good man. And then it's on topic. He said something like, hey, I like the podcast. And I said, oh, is there anything you like specifically about the podcast that you would like me to do more or less of? And he just goes, I wish it came out more often. And I was like, ouch. So after the game, it occurred to me, I don't know anybody else in Spokane who I can expect to see at virtually any kind of game that's played in Spokane. It could be Spokane Shadow. It could be Eastern. It could be either of the 2 professional teams. It could be Spokane Impact games. That goes without saying. It could be Shadle Park. So I want to use this moment to say, Mike Pellicio, will you be second chair on the Spokane Soccer Show and be a regular co-host with me?
I already told you yes off air, so I guess the answer is yes.
He's not supposed to say that, folks. We're supposed to make this seem like an off-the-cuff moment. He didn't know it was coming. He knew it was coming. Whatever. This is a big excitement.
It's on the notes. I'm sorry.
It's a big announcement. I'm totally joking. And it is a huge component of like me being able to do this regularly. So I'm so excited to have you come on the podcast and join me regularly to provide, honestly, some expertise, we've talked even before we started recording of like, I'm going to do some kind of my typical play-by-play-ish shtick. It's a podcast. It's not us doing live commentary about a soccer game. But honestly, if you ever watch the two of us at one stadium or anywhere else we are in Spokane, we're watching games, it's kind of like this anyways. I'll describe something I saw. Sometimes it might be an observation about a tactic or something, but usually it's just a little anecdotal, and Mike will go, well, did you notice that they were playing with 3 at the back and all these kinds of things? So that's kind of what we're going to do here.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, enough pillow talk. We have so much to get to. Let's get started. We're going to do my favorite Spokane Soccer Show shout outs. Did you bring a couple with you, Mike?
I got one big shout out.
Fine, good. Well, let's start with you because shout out Spokane Impact. Mike, you just got back from Knoxville, Tennessee. What happened?
We had a nice weekend, and my shout out is for One Knoxville.
Yeah.
One Knox. I'm sorry. They don't like that. For hosting a wonderful event in their beautiful stadium, which is brand new. And it serves 2 purposes, soccer and baseball, which makes both parties unhappy, I think. But it was such a cool event, and they were so gracious to have us. And they took care of the athletes, made them feel so special. We were in the locker room, and it just looked so cool. Everything was wonderful. So shout out to One Knox for taking care of us and hosting the Spokane Impact.
And they crowned a regular season champion at this event. Is that true?
They did. So the regular season champion is not us.
Yeah.
It is Colorado Springs Switchbacks, and they deserve it because they beat us quite a few times, even though we beat them really good in Colorado. Mm-hmm. So they deservedly get, I guess, what would be like the Supporters Shield. But the Supporters Shield is not something I prioritized.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really consider it to be as important as inclusion. Yeah. So we traveled players that had never been on the trips before. So we haven't brought our best team out yet.
That's very cool. Okay. And wait, and so there is going to be a tournament, a playoff, a knockout tournament. When is that taking place?
November 21st to 23rd, I believe.
And where?
We are going to Houston.
Got to go somewhere warm. It's going to be in the middle of November. I
think it might be a little too warm there, honestly.
True.
The coach is telling me it might be like 85 degrees.
Hey, what is it today? It's October 9th in Spokane, Washington, and it's 80 degrees. Yep. Climate change is probably a thing. Well, that's really exciting. Any takeaways from the first kind of regular season, I guess we'll call it, for Spokane Impact? Like, how are you feeling about things?
I feel good. Takeaway would be that, I absolutely would do the same thing again, which is, bring as many different athletes as you can. Yeah. So that we can, learn what our best team is for the playoffs. Also learn, the travel friendly players and, the travel, not so friendly players. It's good for us to give them those opportunities.
Isn't that the key word to all of it? It's opportunity, and it's a brand new breaking ground opportunity. This has never been done before.
We've never had a league where it was year round and it had the whole country involved and there was no, neurotypical peers playing with you. Yeah. That's brand new. So, I think it's really great that they just have these opportunities to go compete and play and be treated like athletes and not participants. That's, Nil's wording and Joao's wording. So yeah, it was wonderful. I am very happy to continue doing it. I think that the travel weekends are really difficult on the staff. So that's something that we need to solve for the future. Like maybe I won't go on every single trip. Yeah. We do have a large staff of highly qualified soccer and special education folks, which means that it's a lot easier to rotate, whereas I think some of the other teams don't have that. Oh, okay. So we talk about sustainability again.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be something.
You can't have people burning out.
And then you just have them for 1 or 2 years.
That's it. And then the whole that can have this snowball effect too. So the event I went to out in Liberty Lake was so much fun. The vibe was immaculate. Shout out to Nil Vinyals, Joao Gomiero, you, Mike, USL Spokane, everybody involved. It's so rad. Had a great time out there when I went out there. You ready for a next shout out?
I am.
Speaking of the Gonzaga women's soccer team, shout out Chelsea Lee and Marissa Garcia, former greats from Gonzaga women's team. Okay, if you're not watching this on YouTube, I just pulled out this thing that I had printed for Chelsea Lee because if you recall, if you listen to the podcast regularly, the first ever Spokane Soccer Show Player of the Year, I gave that honor to Chelsea Lee. She's one of my favorite players that I've seen play soccer in the city of Spokane. Love her dearly, love her family dearly. And so here's what kind of happened. It's kind of funny. So here we go. I'm just wanting to show this. Anybody who wants to look on YouTube can see me holding up this thing that I had printed for her. It's super cool. My friend Nick helped me. That's actually a photograph from Brandon Campia. Do you know Brandon?
Not personally.
Okay. Shout out Brandon. So that photo was taken by Brandon, but Chelsea and Marissa Marr, at one point, I think it was Chelsea, had mentioned that they both want to get signed by a Mexican club called Club Leon. And fast forward, that has happened. It's also the team that signed Sophie Braun when she was coming out of Gonzaga. So Sophie had her first ever professional contract in 2023 with Club Leon and Liga Meki Femenil. And so Marissa, of course, what does she do in her very first professional debut? She scores a goal with her right foot, which was kind of interesting because she's a very left-footed player if you know nothing about her game. Shout out Kai Longenecker. Okay, I need you to talk about Kai, former Spokane Shadow player from Sandpoint. Kai made his MLS Next Pro professional debut for Crown Legacy FC, which is the next pro club affiliated with Charlotte FC. Can you tell me a little bit about Kai?
I can.
Let's go.
I've known Kai since he was 6 years old.
Oh.
I was the director of his club, Sandpoint Strikers. So he actually wasn't involved yet. He was a recreational player, but we didn't offer programming at his age yet. But Kai is a wonderful example of how to, well, I should say his family has raised him right. So like if you take care of that, all the doors remain open. So Kai, I was his coach with the men's first team. He was texting me to cheer me up when we lost a game that we shouldn't have lost. And I'm like, Kai, I'm supposed to cheer you up, dude. So like Kai's just been raised so wonderfully. And Jameson and Amy, his mom and dad, they've just been so open to everything for their kids. And like Kai would be emailing different MLS clubs and setting up phone calls and then presenting it to his parents, not like the parents are doing the phone calls.
Yeah.
So it just shows you that youth soccer is not broken. There's kids that are advocating for themselves. There's a system where a kid from Sandpoint, Idaho can make it into, the big city of Spokane, Washington to play for Spokane Shadow. But like, no, he makes it into all these different environments and excels.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, he's playing for the Crown Legacy and MLS Next, So now
we have two local kids that have made professional debuts in 2025. Rocky Wells with obviously Spokane Velocity, and now Kai Longenecker with Crown Legacy FC.
Yeah, with MLS Next Pro, and that's Division 3, which is joint with USL League One.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Same tier technically as League One, where Velocity play. So many goalkeepers have come out of Spokane Shadow recently. Kenny Pierpoint, former guest on the Spokane Soccer Show, now going to the University of Washington, two-time national champion with Crossfire.
Yeah, I wonder what the common denominator between all these brilliant goalkeepers is for the most part. Brian Hernandez.
Is it Brian? Maybe? Okay, Brian. Shout out Brian Hernandez. Let's go.
So like Brian's done a lot of really good work with the goalkeepers that have come through Spokane Shadow. Yep. And he's done a lot of work privately with different goalkeepers.
And he has been helping Spokane Velocity as a goalkeeper coach for part of 2025.
He is the goalkeeper coach.
He's still okay.
At least finishing the year, from what I can tell. He might be signed permanently for all I know.
Let's go. Okay.
But Brian, when he started working with goalkeepers in Spokane, he just moved the needle in a way that, was noticeable for everyone. I think everyone's had to get better, all the other goalkeeper coaches, when they look over and see what Brian's doing. So I think he's been a wonderful addition. And I think that those male goalkeepers that you're talking about, but there's a ton of, girl goalkeepers who are kicking butt in our city too.
Speaking of goalkeepers, shout out Velocity goalkeeper Carlos Marancio, Zephyr FC goalkeeper Hope Heisey. Carlos was just voted Player of the Week in USL's League One. Hope Heisey was voted Player of the Month by the USL Players Association. Just incredible, and also not even remotely surprising and richly deserved for both players. They're just insane. Hope Heisey has the most saves in the USL Super League by a good margin and is tied for the most clean sheets so far early on in 2025 through 8 games. Meanwhile, Carlos Marancio, same, has the most saves in the league and is tied for second with 9 clean sheets. What's with goalkeepers in these clubs? And by the way, without the play of these two goalkeepers, these teams aren't where they are in the table.
Yeah, I think Hope was the first goalkeeper in the league to reach 10 shutouts. Is that the statistic that
you're right.
I was seeing?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool.
They did announce that. I forgot about that. Okay, another big one. I missed this because it was on my birthday, but they had the season ticket holders event for Velocity FC, and it was announced that, shout out, Leigh Veidman got a contract extension for 2 years. I want to talk a little bit about what that means for Leigh, the club, our city. I would describe 2025 for Leigh in these terms. He's had a lot of challenges this summer, okay? If we rewind to the Damned United event, we screened the movie Damned United at the Magic Lantern. And since that time, we had the forfeit to Westchester. Assistant coach Renato Bustamante left for San Jose Earthquakes to coach be the head coach of the youth team.
U16, I believe.
Is it U16? Thank you. But a contract extension couldn't have come at a better time. It's a big effing deal. And I think mostly because any player or manager that has any kind of contracting that they just need to figure out in terms of just feeling settled. You'll hear about this. Anybody who pays attention, especially to this happens a lot in the Premier League, which is what so many people, especially American fans, pay attention to. A contract extension is a big deal. Any sport, frankly. I mean, you hear about this in NBA all the time too, that an extension is a big deal. It settles a player, it settles a manager. They feel like, okay, cool, this is where I'm going to be. And I think that was something that the club and Leigh had been working on, and it's done. It's over the line. Do you have any thoughts on that? I want to ask you that. Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, that's a wonderful extension to hear about. I mean, I think Leigh's hit the ground running and he's done so well for us. So, he's very welcome to stay as long as he wants in my eyes. But yet also, I'm not even on a soccer note, I just really appreciate people that come to Spokane and enjoy it.
Yeah.
They see it. They go, yeah, I'll sign up for that again. And I'm one of them. Keep that in mind. I was born in San Diego. So yeah, I really do enjoy that. Whereas other people a lot of times are like, I would never, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's cool. Don't come.
Don't. Totally.
Yeah.
I'm not from here either. Everybody knows who's listened to the podcast. I'm from Alaska. I went to film school in Montana, and I moved here because my wife is from here and we started a family, and Spokane's my home and I love it. And I agree. Leigh shows up in a way that conveys that not only does he really, really care, I mean, he intensely cares about the sport, his progression as a manager. He wants to get better every day. And he also wants to be in Spokane. He shows up in the community. I mean, that Damned United event, I feel bad for anybody who didn't get to go to it. I don't think you were there, Mike.
No, I couldn't.
That's right. You were gone. That's right. You had family matters to attend to, but it was just remarkable. He is just a truly genuine person. And the way that he reflected on what was happening through 2024 and making it to the playoff championship game and how things were going. Because at the time, we were flying, top of the table. So that is a big deal. So again, there's so much going on in this episode of the podcast. I'm sorry, but every one of these is like a banger, and we could spend 30 minutes talking about it. So if it feels like I'm rushing it, it's only because there's a lot to get to, because it wasn't a week later after the announcement of Leigh Veidman's 2-year contract extension with Velocity FC that USL Spokane have announced that Zephyr FC have a head coach. Her name is Nicole Lukic, and very initial thoughts knowing that I will have her on the podcast so that hopefully you and I both could get a chance to chat with Nicole. Here's what I can tell you about her. She was previously to taking the position with Zephyr FC as the manager and head coach. She was the director of talent identification for the U.S. youth national teams age 14 to 23 players, where she worked closely with senior team head coach Emma freaking Hayes. No big deal. And before that, Nicole was the sporting director and head coach of the highly respected Minnesota Aurora of the USLW League. They coincidentally have the best branding anywhere in North America, if you ask me. I think that the Minnesota Aurora brand is absolutely sick. That's just a sidebar. From the USL Spokane website, they had this following to say. Lukic served as the inaugural sporting director and head coach of Minnesota Aurora FC, where she led the club to 2 undefeated regular seasons and consecutive playoff appearances. Under her leadership, Minnesota Aurora quickly established itself as one of the premier organizations in women's soccer. Lukic was named USLW Coach of the Year in 2022 and was a 2024 Sports Business Journal 40 Under 40 honoree for her time with Aurora. I could go on, and I might, but I have received several texts from people outside of Spokane, to be clear, saying, whoa, I'm giving you a summary of the View. Whoa, what a hire. This is, I think, a really, really big deal. What are your thoughts on this hire, Mike? Or is it just too early and we just need to have Nicole on the show and chat with her?
I mean, I think we just have her on the show, but that youth national team role that she had is a really important role, like that scouting role.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And then there's one point of interest to me, and that's my friend Chelsea Buckland. Shout out Chelsea from the Seattle Reign Youth Academy over on the west side. Our Venn diagram is like this, with people that total eclipse, people that we like. We hate all the same people. We like all the same people. And she seems to like her. So if that's the case, fully on board.
Seal of approval. Love it. I can't wait to have her on the podcast. I think it's worth noting, when you think of being a talent identification person for U14 to U23 players, that is basically the population of player that ends up in the USL Super League. It's a younger league. I think it's very safe to say that. I haven't looked at the data or anything, but so in terms of like identifying potentially good players to join our team, we could do much worse. One final shout out related to Zephyr FC. I would be remiss if I didn't say shout out Josh McAllister for what he did for this team in the first 8 games of 2025. They have just come off 4 games unbeaten, including 2 wins against last year's Player Shield winners, Carolina Ascent, and last year's playoff champions, Tampa Bay Sun. So really, really impressive what Josh was able to do with this team. I've chatted a little bit about what I think Josh was up to tactically with this team, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Nicole, because she's going to hit the ground running. She is going to be managing the team when Zephyr FC are hosting Dallas Trinity here at home on Sunday. So shout out Nicole Lukic and Josh McAllister.
Can I just double down on how hard that job was for Josh to
seriously
just roll in and be like, yeah, I got it. Like, I can steer the ship and I can make things, awesome on the field, and then just go back to doing, what he's hired for. Like, I think it's amazing that Josh is able to step in like that. Really impressive.
Which is head of performance. That's his normal thing. And there's so many things that I saw about this team that we'll talk about. When we do talk about Zephyr today, we will be talking about the impact that Josh had as the interim manager. So anything that we talk about that sounds good, and there's plenty of plaudits to throw at Zephyr FC through 8 games, it'll be a lot to do with what Josh did. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk all about Zephyr FC's recent results. Speaking of shout outs, shout out Freeform Spaces. All of this furniture, Mike, the chair you're sitting on, this table. What is Freeform, you're asking? Whether it's a private office, a home office, workspace, anywhere you go in your life to do productive things and to accomplish things, to go about your day. Whether it's a grind or something that you're just super passionate about, a hobby, your actual day job, whatever it is, this could be done more comfortably, more efficiently, more effectively. You know how? Are you comfortable, Mike?
Very.
Yeah, me too. It's perfect. Go to freeformspaces.com. Talk to my friend Fernando. Tell him I sent you. The Spokane Soccer Show is supported by Spokane City Credit Union. Mike, are you still a member of a big dumb bank?
Unfortunately, yes.
He is. Did I tell you to stop it?
You did?
I did. I don't even have to tell you which banks I mean. You all know the ones I'm talking about. Do I have some relationships with some big dumb banks? Maybe. Once upon a time, credit unions were wisely described as not for profit, not for charity, but for service. And SCCU still holds that philosophy today. At a bank, Mike, you're just a customer. They don't love you. But at SCCU, you are a member. At any credit union, you're a member and a shareholder. And at Spokane City Credit Union, they are serving one member at a time. Go to sccu.net and become a member today, Mike. All right, Mike Pellicio, let's talk about Zephyr FC. You and I haven't got a chance to do that in 2025. We've run into each other at some games, and I've shared a couple things. You've shared a couple things. We were just kind of doing this, like a lot of chin scratching and going, whoa, such a huge turnover of players. We've still got Ali Cook, still got Emma Jaskinik, we've still got Hope Heisey, our Lord and Savior. But we hadn't really had a chance to do this, so we're going to do it. Are you ready?
Yep.
Since the local Spokane Spurs boys were on the podcast following that 1-0 loss to Fort Lauderdale here at home, they have done the following. I mentioned it just a moment ago, but they had a 2-0 win at home versus Tampa Bay. They had a 2-0 win at home versus Tampa Bay. Great assist from Kelsey Euler, former Gonzaga player. If you haven't, that's just too much history. You go back and listen to the first episodes I ever did of this podcast. We talked all about Kelsey Euler, and she totally created the goal. She spotted it was a square pass. It was like clear that the fullback was going to pass it back to her goalkeeper. Kelsey's just got a very good mind for this. This is one thing. If you are not familiar with the game of Kelsey Euler, this is something you can kind of count on. Recoveries, work rate, and she reads the game super, super effectively as a defender. Yes, she has a bomb of a left leg. I haven't seen a lot of evidence of that yet, but on this particular play, she picked the pocket of this poor fullback who thought she took a heavy touch and thought she was going to pass it back to her keeper safely and recycle the possession, and it did not happen. Kelsey darted in there, took the ball off this kid, ran down to the end line, dragged it back for a trailing Lena Solano, who tucked it away neatly. It was a really, really nice goal. It was Kelsey's first goal contribution as a professional for Zephyr FC, and it was Lena Solano's third goal. They followed that performance with a 0-0 draw on the road versus Zephyr FC 2024, aka Lexington SC. That's impressive because, as we all know, Lexington dropped a lot of resource on all the things. Tons of players, not just Amina, not just Alyssa Bourgeois and Taylor, but also Addie McCain, who was the best player last year for Fort Lauderdale. I mean, they threw money at this thing, and they are stacked. And so to go down there and get a 0-0 draw on the road, very impressive.
Big saves from Hope.
Big saves from Hope, as always.
Yeah.
When do we not say that?
No, that's just a constant.
Dude, it's so dumb. I want to get Hope Heisey on this podcast, by the way. I think she's got a funny personality, and I think it'd be really fun to talk to her because she's pretty humble, but at the same time, she's humble, but there's like an edge about her that I just find kind of interesting. And I'd be very curious to see what it'd be like to just pick her brain about her ability as a goalkeeper. Anybody who's heard my story before, the first time I ever saw Hope Heisey play was in Spokane. She was suited up for the University of Arizona, and I saw her lose 3-0 to our beloved Gonzaga, that aforementioned team full of legends, including Kelsey Euler, who had something to do with some of those goals that were scored. So I didn't know anything about Hope, except for all of a sudden she shows up wearing a Zephyr shirt and she is unbeatable. They then followed that game with a game we're going to talk about in some detail right now. You ready? Yep. Zephyr FC 1, Carolina Ascent 0. Traveled to Carolina against last year's Players Shield winners and pulled off an incredible and important win. Let's talk through some of the key moments from that game. Ready? Here I go. I'm going to describe some things that happened, and you interject at any point to just go, here's what I saw in that. This is another thing I just kind of want to let listeners know, like how we're going to do this, and we're going to make this a sustainable effort, is anybody, wherever you are, you're at home, you're washing the dishes, you're walking the dog, and you're listening to this podcast, or you're watching it on YouTube. You don't have to go watch the whole entire game. You could watch the highlight package that's served up by USL's YouTube channel, and you can follow along. We're not going to do every single thing that they create clips out of, because it's all, to be honest, it's not all highlight worthy. But like the big moments, goals, red cards, like yellow cards, like penalties, any of that kind of stuff we are going to cover. So let's start in this game. Zephyr FC 1, Carolina Ascent 0. Minute 21, got some drama early on. It was a penalty shout for Carolina, and here's how I saw it. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts, Mike. So Jill Aguilera, who's a fullback for Carolina Ascent, I think she led the league last year and beat out Amina Ekic for the most assists. She chops the ball onto her right foot inside the box to get around defender Haley Thomas. And then Reese Tappen slides over to help out. Reese has her, this is what I found kind of interesting. Reese has her leg out. She puts a leg out, but Aguilera literally kind of pushes her foot backward to make sure that it hooks onto Reese Tappen's foot and make sure that it catches and that she falls. It's clever. It's probably a penalty, but to be honest, she made zero attempt to stay upright. How did you see it?
I saw Reese get her shoelace. So like I saw that first, and I've seen players kind of just like tug apart like that. And then I was like, oh my God, I don't know that I've ever seen that in the penalty area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't really know how I felt about it. I was adamant in like minute or second 0, like that's absolutely not a penalty. And then when I watched it a few times, I was like,
maybe that's how I felt. But it's like, it's the fact that Aguilera drags her leg, which is what every attacker is going to do in the box. But I'm like, you do that anywhere else on the pitch. Is it still a foul? It's that classic question. I don't know. But guess what? Ball don't lie. Carolina's leading goal scorer, Maddie Mercado, who had a nightmare game, steps up, smacks the ball off the left post, and it's still 0-0.
No problem.
No problem.
No big deal.
Crisis averted. Minute 24, we get a preview of how good Cam Tucker is when she's used as a winger, who then joins the attack through the midfield. And we're going to talk a lot about this because I had to watch these highlights a couple times even today when I was reviewing this game. So what happens is Tucker takes the ball off of a Carolina player near the touchline in the defensive half, and she immediately dives inside where nobody from Carolina seems to want to track her. Lena Solano makes a great run, but there are 3 defenders back so that when Cam Tucker plays a ball through for her, Lena Solano is forced to take a pretty tame shot from outside the box because the keeper stayed on her line and collected it pretty easily, right? So do you have any thoughts on this, or do you want me to just tell you what happens next?
Let's go to what happened.
Okay, let's go to next. Because, dude, it's like, go watch these highlights. It's super funny to me. I thought I was seeing double. I was like, this just happened. It's the exact same thing. Cam Tucker starts a run from basically the exact same position on the pitch near the touchline. She inverts, goes darting through midfield like a swashbuckler, ready to do damage. Carolina winger and fullback Riley Mattingly and Jill Aguilera, respectively, they both just kind of watch her disappear right through the midfield. I'm like, okay, if you're not going to track her, if you're not going to try to make a recovery, at least communicate. They did nothing. But this time it's Tori Zierenberg making the same run that Solano made on the right, but this time it's from a position on the left. This time Tucker's weighted pass is perfect. It has enough strength on the ball where it forces the goalkeeper Megan McClellan to come off her line. Zierenberg pokes the ball with the outside of her foot. It's a very, very neat finish. And it's honestly one of the best goals I've seen from Zephyr FC. One of the best goals I've seen in this league. Tell me what you're seeing on these plays, because you had something you wanted to say about the run from Tori Zierenberg, but I also want to hear your thoughts on what the hell is going on with Cam Tucker. Because I'm going to get ahead of myself for a second. If you look at the heat map, Mike, Cam Tucker's just an outright winger. But yet these 2 most threatening plays in the game from Zephyr come from her tucking inside and running through the midfield. I don't feel like I see that all the time. So I want to hear your thoughts on these 2 things.
Sure. Yeah. It was kind of interesting that the 2 players that you identified, the fullback and the winger, just stopped pursuing her. Yeah. Because they could have taken care of that all on her own. Like all they had to do was, the fullback could have kept chasing her.
Follow her.
Like you followed that far. You're like 40 yards from the other members of your backline.
Yeah.
You probably just keep going. That said, the winger did become closest to the ball.
Yeah.
As Cam dribbled central, which means that the winger then should be the pressure. Winger was like, I'm really confused. Reese is a center back. She's in the fullback position. Haley Thomas is rotated over.
Oh, I was going to ask you that. So they covered for Cam's run.
So what happened is Reese came out wide.
Okay.
And then she told Haley Thomas to go pop back inside.
Okay.
So Haley was in the center back position.
Yep.
Reese is in the fullback position where she's comfortable. And then when Cam kind of spun around, the 2 got a little confused. I think the winger was like, I'm going to go mark Reese, but also Reese is a center back and she's trying to return back over there.
Okay.
So I think there was just this big moment where they're like, I don't want to do all this stuff. I didn't sign up for this. And in that moment, Cam ran 50 yards at the ball and their back line just started dropping. So I think Cam was just really clever to find the space.
Yeah.
I think our interchange might have thrown him off a little. And I think honestly, there was a player, the fullback pressing that was like, oh my God, I am so far from the back line. But she turns and runs. She doesn't catch anything. She needed to stay. So tough luck. I'm glad that they made those decisions because it resulted in a goal for us. Yeah. But I was really happy with Tori's run.
Yes.
Because we coaches have to think of every scenario in a game where it's impossible. But that scenario is one you'll see every game. Backline is holding.
Yep.
So 3, 4, whatever. There's a backline holding. And then we have time and space. Ball carrier has her head up. That'll happen every single game.
Yep.
So when that happens, what we tell players like Tori is to make sure that your run, because they're holding, is being tracked by a player that's not your player. So she goes past her player. She actually goes behind her, which is even worse for that player.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. And she picks out another kid.
And then she goes to the center, the most central of the 3, and then she makes her run there. It's what if we did that every time that a player had their head up, central, running at the back line? Yeah. We'd score a lot. Yeah. If that situation happens 12 times and we do a good job, there's no way we lose.
And it feels like something that's relying on the quality of Cam Tucker's ability to do what she did, to have the vision, to have the timing, and to have that touch. It's some Kevin De Bruyne shit. It's these passes, even the one to Lena Solano that led to a pretty tame effort because the keeper stayed home, was still beautiful looking. I was like, wow, keep doing that. And, I think it was Ronald, speaking of the Spokane Spurs boys, who shouted this out. He's like, I keep seeing moments where Cam Tucker's ready to link play, and Jesus, she's clearly in case it's not obvious, she is, I think, the most talented attacking addition to this team that's joined Zephyr FC. So really, really cool stuff. Minute 50, back to Maddie Mercado from Carolina. She just had, and she was, I came in as one of the leading goal scorers, and she is Carolina's leading goal scorer. She's had a nightmare of a game. Fullback Brianna Martinez crosses the ball into the box, and Mercado, I swear to God, dude, she's 7 yards out and just doop, over the bar. Like, Hope Heisey has no chance if she puts that thing anywhere other than over the bar, or I guess straight at Hope would have been bad. It was a bit of a shocker. She looked stunned that didn't go in the back of the net. Minute 62, Hope makes another great save on a long-range effort from the aforementioned fullback Brianna Martinez. A pretty evenly played match. Just one moment of total brilliance and quality from Cam Tucker to Tori Zierenberg. Great finish by Tori, by the way.
Outside of the foot, kind of like maybe like just toe down. It was in first time. No, totally. That was wonderful from Tori. And by the way,
her first goal contribution.
Shout out Tori, first goal contribution in her professional career.
Yeah, let's go.
Shout out Tori. She's training my stepdaughters anyhow. So maybe if she teaches them that, I'm never going to hear the end of it. So Tori, don't show them that just yet. Okay.
Not yet. That's advanced stuff. Let's talk a little bit more about Zephyr FC 2025 versus Zephyr FC 2024. We played at home last weekend, earned a very difficult 0-0 draw versus Lexington SC. I can't help myself. I'm going to keep making the joke.
Yeah, of course.
All right, let's go. Ali Cook was restored to the starting lineup. Emma Jaskinique replaced Felicia Knox in midfield. Tori Zierenberg started in a midfield three instead, which means that Lena Solano began the game on the bench. Minute 14, forward Catherine Berry, who does have the most goals for Lexington's thus far. She hooks the ball into the box, and winger Addie McCain gets off a shot from the outside of her foot. It's a kick save and a beauty from Hope Heisey. She's got it all. She's got all the saves. That was the first time in the game I thought for sure that we were going to concede. We say this all the time. She makes the saves you expect her to make, and she makes a lot of the ones that you would not. Minute 26, I would call this the first real attacking opportunity for Zephyr, and it's on the counter attack. Arissa Mart finds the aforementioned Tori Zierenberg alone on the edge of the box. Tori takes a touch, gets it exactly where she would want it. She goes for a curler. It just doesn't quite curl. You can tell that like Lexington are playing with a lot of confidence. I don't know if this is how you felt watching this game, but they were bombing forward. They were very much on their front foot. And you would think that if there was any way we were going to beat them, it was going to be on the counter.
Had that chance fallen, sorry to interrupt you. Had that chance fallen the other way to Allie with Tori, where Allie was.
Right.
Tori probably would have overlapped her, and Allie would have been like, thanks a lot, Tori. Not going to give you the ball, but take that defender just a quarter yard, and then, it would have been a different one. But I love Tori's effort. I thought it was great.
Minute 31. You may have heard of this player, Amina Ekic. Just great footwork on ball. She beats two defenders into the box with pace and that ball that seems to be magnetized to her feet. It's a tough angle. She gets off a very wicked shot with her favored left foot. And just, again, we've said this so many times, incredible save from Hope Heisey, and a save that I would say counts as basically a point on the table. It was headed top bins. Any thoughts on this particular passage of play? Yeah,
it should have been a goal. I mean, it should have been a goal, and Amina did everything she could to make it a goal. But Hope has this pesky like Tim Howard energy from the Belgium game in 2014. Where
that's a great shout.
She just makes ridiculous saves and acts like it's nothing. So I don't know. Like one of the things we tell players is you can, and not that this was a silly shot to take, but you can take a silly shot if you can see more than half the goal. Like think of like Pogba shooting from 28 yards and it's like, you've scored none. Stop. But that was only when he was with Manchester United, mind you. But like we tell players, and you can see a ton of the goal, go for it.
Yeah.
These players are seeing a ton of the goal, and we're not really all that worried that Hope's going to make a play on the ball. It's pretty special. I don't know how she's doing that.
The one thing I'm grateful for in this particular play is that we know Amina. She did this against Lexington last year on that ball she pulled down from a long diagonal from Haley Thomas, where she cut back on her right foot.
Yeah.
She put a kid on the floor and just like murdered everybody.
It was a game winner, wasn't it?
I think that was the game that we ended up losing.
Oh, okay.
That was, I don't want to talk about that.
No.
So I'm just grateful she didn't do that. If she had cut it back on her right foot, Oof. Anyway, minute 70, last meaningful attacking moment of the game. I would say Cam Tucker creates just enough space attacking Lexington left back. Hannah Johnson crosses the bar near post. Allie Cook gets a good foot on it, splits 2 defenders. It's a pretty clean shot, but it's saved right inside the post by goalkeeper Kat Asman. And that is how the game ended. I have 2 other things I'm going to shout out from this game that I just observed. I didn't pull down from the highlight package, and they weren't in the highlights, but things that I watched at one stadium. One is, I'm going to pick on Amina Ekic for just a second. She's getting Luka Doncic level possession and opportunities with the ball. They just sometimes are just sending it down the channels for her to run onto. And there's one in particular where I know her eyes got big, and she runs down the left. She's, got 2 defenders chasing, and I'm thinking, I know Amina well enough to think she's got some things that she could still work on as a player, right? It's just a moment of down a cul-de-sac, turns around and doesn't look for a teammate and just basically passes it backward. And it's just it's a giveaway. The other one that involved Amina was she's 1v1 with Kelsey Euler. And I had the opposite impression of this one. I was like, this is scary. Edge of the box. I was like, she's going to get it onto her left foot and get off a shot. Shout out to Kelsey. She stood her ground and made a great standing tackle and was positionally so strong to prevent that she blocked a shot. And it was very clean block. It wasn't even like close. It was just like off of her leg. So I just wanted to shout those 2 moments out.
I like Kelsey's 1v1 defending for a player who's so accomplished in the final third. Yeah. I think she's very good at that. That's a really good combination to have for a fullback, obviously.
Agree. So, Mike, 180 minutes played between Zephyr FC and Lexington SC so far, and no goals.
Boring.
18 shots for Lexington, 5 on target, only 7 for Zephyr, 2 on target. Hope Heisey, once again, we have hope, which means we have hope.
Love it.
Print that on a shirt. Let's go.
Hope, come save the podcast.
We have hope, so we have hope. Okay. Some stats and some takeaways for Zephyr FC through 8 games. Mike Pellicio, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk through the kind of we're going to work back to front. We know we've said enough about hope, but defensively, I feel like this team is quite solid and difficult to beat. These are my observations about the defending of this team so far. And then I want to hear what you have to say. We'll do this defending, midfield, and then attack. Reese Tappen. Revelation as a very physically playing center half. I did not know that about her game. I thought coming out of WSU, she was going to be the winger who would bomb down the flanks and send in crosses and provide, creativity on the wings. And that side of her game, she is defensively very capable. I think deservedly was given the player of the match in the game against Lexington. It's hard to take it off of hope, if I'm being honest, but I get it. Kelsey Euler's best is yet to come when it comes to the attacking returns. But she's flashing some of the things that I really liked about her. For when she played for Gonzaga. The left-footed bombs, I just don't think they're there, and I'm not quite sure that that's going to translate to the professional game. The stuff that she did as a college player I still think the service is there, like crosses, but that over-the-top ball that happens a lot in the college game, we talk about this a lot last year with, Kenzie trying to get on the end of those. That's this sounds belittling a little bit, but I find that tactically a bit puerile. The ball over the top, run onto it, sprint onto it, Sonic the Hedgehog, like we talked about with Kenzie last year. And I think that's a little bit of the game that Kelsey had in college, and I just don't think that's translating so far as a pro.
Yeah, they say the more chaotic the build, the more chaotic the chance. So and even though we're talking about a chance, if you put it in the air over 45 yards and let it bounce a few times, it's hard for us. It's hard for us finishers to get on the end of them. So I totally understand that. Though I do think her service is going to be very impactful in the final third.
In midfield, Sophie Braun looks so comfortable in that pivot role, and you love to see it. She is currently second in the league with chances created behind Amina Ekic. And I'm really glad that she's not playing center half. I mean, not to say that she wasn't good as a center half last year, but she looks so much more comfortable in that role as a 6. We've talked about what the team looks like when Cam Tucker joins the attack through the midfield. Yeah. Have you noticed anything about midfield play that sticks out to you?
The midfield looks a lot more balanced. I think that Soph being the anchor lets some other players do a lot of really good work, like Emma. I think that they're a lot more comfortable with her there. I might bite myself in the bottom here, but pretty sure that on that Cam Tucker run that we've talked about at length already, I'm pretty sure Soph just saw the numbers in the midfield and then was like, they don't need me, I'm out of here. And she took their pressing midfielder out, which is the space that Cam ended up going into. I'm going to feel like an idiot if it's...
Oh, that's interesting though. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that Soph like counted the players, was like, watch this, I'm out of here. And then their 8 or 10 or whatever followed her. I think that happens. So I have noticed that it's been a better balance. You spoke defensively. I've noticed that our vertical compactness is like way more like obvious right now. So like our distance from our pressing player to our back line is a lot more appropriate now. And players as a result know when they're supposed to press and what grass they're supposed to defend. And I'm not exactly saying that we weren't doing it last year, but last year, one Spokane Stadium is a big field. There were some pastures at times that players are running through from the opposition, and that is not happening as often now.
Totally agree. I've brought it up in a few times that I've talked about Zephyr early on in 2025, the new team, this new season, because it has been so much more organized in terms of the press in particular. And I've been super impressed by that. Things are not entirely clicking in the attacking third, but we know that we know what Ali Cook can do. Lena Solano looks threatening. She's got 3 goals. We've talked about Tori Zierenberg. She's just getting started. But stop me if you've heard this before. We just need to score more goals. The rest of the league have 2 games in hand, and yet we're tied for 7th with the fewest goals. Only Tampa Bay have scored fewer, and they've played 2 less games. So we've also not conceded many goals, and we're tied with Lexington for the most clean sheet. So
yeah, I also do think on the topic of scoring goals, I think that we're creating reasonably good chances. I think that the chances look sustainable, which is a big part for me. If you score that goal, I even mentioned this at the Impact launch party, and Emma was there, but I'm like, hey, I'm all for that goal that you scored, Emma, which is goal of the month, by the way. Shout out for that. Don't expect to score that all that often. So the goals we're scoring are goals that I think are highly repeatable. And I think that's important especially for our front 3. I think Lena is obviously a goal threat. We've talked about Cam being so dangerous, and Allie's easily the best finisher in the league for me, at least from the 9 position.
Yep.
I think that goals will come.
We talked about that when Ronald and Zach came on the podcast about how I came into that recording thinking, we just need to identify the players. Is it going to be Tori? Is it going to be Cam? Is it going to be whoever's just going to just unlock other teams? And while talking to those guys, and you just kind of alluded to it, it's like, no, I don't want anybody to come in and just be a hero and do the spectacular, get that 0.03 XG goal. Like, no, I'd rather see something consistent, repeatable, goals that come from effective, systemic, cohesive play instead of somebody going out there and playing hero ball. So totally agree. Mike, let's take one more break. When we return, we're going to catch up on all the recent results for Velocity FC. The Spokane Soccer Show is supported by Wildland Co-op. Mike Pellicio. Wildland Co-op, what is that, you're asking? I don't know if you're asking, but I'm going to assume you are. If you've been up to Green Bluff, you might not think you need another reason, but I'm going to give you the best reason to go back out there. Wildland is a small farm. It's a brewery. It's a winery. It's a local goods market. They have 20 varieties of beer on tap, a range of fantastic wines, tasty non-alcoholic beverages, soups, and sandwiches. So pull up an Adirondack chair on their cherry tree patio and take in all those yummy flavors amidst sweeping views of Green Bluff and the foothills of Mount Spokane. You've been there, haven't you?
I haven't been there. Now I have to go.
Now you're going to go, and you're going to stop going to a big dumb bank. There's literally not a better place in the 509 to gawk at the warm, dreamlike skies during the golden hour. And you've heard me say this before, and it's a true story. I've almost run out of room on my phone before from taking so many photos and videos out there. The Wildland Co-op is also family friendly. Everybody's welcome. For more information, go to their website or follow them on Instagram. Wildland Co-op, wildland.coop. The Spokane Soccer Show is proudly supported by Feast World Kitchen. Feast is a multifaceted nonprofit that's best known for its social enterprise restaurant and catering business. We're talking mouth-watering cuisine from every region of planet Earth. Feast helps immigrants and former refugees in our community become chef entrepreneurs. But here's the deal, Mike. I know you're getting ready to ask me, so I'm just going to tell you. A lot of funding for nonprofits like Feast has gone away. So instead of just gushing about their food and telling you to eat there, which I will do, go eat there right now. This time I'm asking you to consider making a donation to keep this amazing work going. Go to feastworldkitchen.org/donate to make sure we have these chef entrepreneurs and giving them all the support needed to continue serving up delicious food here in the Spokane community. To learn more about Feast World Kitchen, their current menu, or to order online, which Mike's going to do tonight, go to feastworldkitchen.org. Velocity FC. You may have heard of them, Mike Pellicio. Coming into last Friday's game against Charlotte, things were, I'm going to describe as tough. There was once upon a time I was watching a Zephyr game. It's the game, dude, I would have gotten killer video of Kelsey Euler's first goal contribution. You know, when she picks that kid's pocket and goes down to the end line and drags it back for a trailing Lena Solano, I would have had video. But you know what I was doing instead? Like a moron? I was checking my GD phone for what was happening against Texoma. You know what was happening? The second of 2 missed penalties is what was happening. They drew 3-3 with Texoma. This all happened since the last time I recorded a podcast. They then drew 2-2 with Omaha. Why am I talking about this game? It hurts. It still hurts. They were up 2-0 in minute 88. I was at my youngest daughter's gymnastics. It was 2-0. I had my laptop. I was watching the game. I folded up my laptop because it was about time to leave. It was almost 7 o'clock. I walked outside, ran into a friend of a parent of a friend, and I was chatting with him. And all of a sudden, I get a little notification. It was minute 86, I think, when I shut my laptop. And it says it's 2-1. I was like, that's distracting, but I'm just going to keep having this conversation. And then it wasn't 4 minutes later that they equalized. And I had to stop the conversation. And my friend looked at me and he goes, he knew. He was like, did they score again? I was like, yeah. He's like, hey man, I'll see you later. He just turns and walks to his minivan and watches me slump onto the bench outside of the gymnastics place.
I won't tell you that I was watching it on my couch and saw it all unfold.
God,
so let's just move on, yeah?
Well, that was followed by a 2-1 loss at home to Chattanooga after going up 1-0 in that game. That was also quite disheartening. I think Nico Brett scored a pretty nice goal in minute 63, but then within 5 minutes, we conceded an equalizer to Chattanooga and then gave up the game winner. There was some questionable refereeing in that game. Again, I don't want to talk about the game. So before we get to the win against Charlotte Independence, let's talk about the game that you and I did not attend because we went to watch Gonzaga beat down your poor friend at San Diego. Greenville 1, Spokane Velocity 0. This is a game, Mike, and we're going to go through some of the highlights and the lowlights, right? That I would characterize as big missed chances. An actual stat that's carried by, I think, everybody. Isn't Y-Scout, Opta, whatever. It's not just FootMob that has they call them big missed chances. It's probably just like a super high XG opportunity that goes begging. We missed a couple of these. We're going to start in minute 10. Luis has to finish that chance in minute 10. And it's a big chance. He calls for the ball seconds earlier from a worse position. So Nil is working a defender on the left side of the box. He cooks this kid from Greenville before squaring it to Luis, and Luis is suddenly in a much better position than the one he had called for the ball from like a few seconds earlier. And he's literally just got the keeper to beat because the defender in front of him is on the deck, and he just oof. I think he misses everything. It's not even on frame. Do you remember this moment?
No, I don't. I don't remember that one exactly. I know what you're talking about with Nil coming off the left.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Then Luis asking, Nil not doing it. And I do remember him giving him one, but I don't remember the guy being on the floor.
He turns and he had only the keeper to beat, and he just curled it outside the post. Minute 22, kind of the same thing. Early cross from Siobhan John Brown. It's like on a platter. It's like right to the feet, under the feet of Nico. But Nico kind of takes one of those touches where he pins the ball with his first touch. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So it's like it's trapped under his feet, and he has to get it out from under there so that he can, he fakes a shot to do so before going for the kill, but it is just not clinical. 2 big missed chances in the first 25 minutes. Did you watch this play? Do you remember this play at all?
Yeah, I remember that play as well.
Yeah.
In general, when I was watching these clips,
yep,
I was thinking, man, remember when we first got started, our first 6, 7, 8 games? Damn it. 6, 7. These damn kids that cannot make it.
Why do they have to do that to us? Yeah.
I was really thinking about the beginning of our season last year.
Yeah.
And our first 7 or 8 games when we just kind of were struggling to find our 9 in the box. We were struggling with the type of chance we wanted to create. Leigh was open to going over, around, through, he said. Yeah. And I'm like, man, they're doing the right things, but they're not coming. In this game, I felt these chances are coming.
Yeah.
And I will always take a team that's just not putting them away versus a team that only
isn't even
has
getting
one
the chances.
Chance. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
And hopes for it.
Yeah.
So while I was discouraged because this is a game I wasn't at, we were at Gonzaga, I was like, man, okay, now that I'm watching these highlights, we are creating a ton and we're pulling them apart. This will not be every game. That was the way that I concluded.
Yeah.
My viewership of that game, but
that's fair.
But we should have scored quite a few of them.
Should have scored quite a few of them. Minute 36. So I missed. Apparently there was a shout for a penalty for Velocity, and I didn't catch this moment, so I'm just going to skip past it. But I know that the whole team and everyone in the stadium and everyone I saw in Discord was really upset. So there was a shout for a penalty for Velocity that wasn't given. But then in minute 36, a ball is played into the box for Leo Castro, and Jalen Chrysler makes no attempt on the ball and just kind of pushes into the back of Leo Castro. I thought it was a stone cold pen, but everybody else thought it was soft. What did you think? I thought it was a penalty.
I definitely think he made a play on the ball. I mean, he went to head it and he went through the man as if he were heading it. Unfortunately, he didn't head it. So that's that's kind of the way that I would describe it. So yeah, I think it's a penalty.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, like there's no chance involved. Their guy just headed it back, kind of towards the top of the penalty
in the
area.
box.
But it's in the penalty area.
He doesn't hit the ball.
Direct free kick.
He barely leaves the ground because Jalen relies on his ginormous frame. He often doesn't have to get a lot of leverage, especially Leo Castro. He's probably given up 3 or 4 inches on him, whatever. Like, I just still think he didn't really, I mean, he made a play on the ball, but he just took the man out. I thought it was a penalty. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's a penalty, unfortunately.
And Jalen immediately didn't seem to protest the call on the penalty. He pointed at the other end of the pitch. So I think Jalen kind of knew, I probably am guilty of a foul there. Anyway, Chapo Herrera converts the penalty. It's well taken. 1-0. Minute 42, another great chance. It goes begging. Ball gets caught under the feet of Luis, who's played behind the back line with a great pass from Siobhan John Brown. Ends up playing the ball back to a trailing Nil Vignals, but he's outside the box and he puts it on frame, but it's easily saved. It's one of those things where I think Luis was in two minds and just neither thing ended up working out. He probably should have just taken a chance. Minute 73, credit to Siobhan Marsh. He has a hit from about 25 yards out. It's on frame, but Carlos stretches out completely to get a paw on it, push it out for a corner. I think it was going in. Remember this one?
Yeah, definitely. Ooh. That was a big save again by Carlos. He does so well with those.
He does. And it was a beautifully struck ball from Siobhan Marsh. I mean, that would have been a game out of sight. Minute 82, our last meaningful chance in the game. And I have in my notes. I'll bet Javier Martin Hill wishes he had another chance at this. He looked shocked. It's a great wall pass from striker to striker, Anwar to Nico Brett in the box. Nico gets caught up in the feet of a defender on the returning ball, though, and it just kind of spills out to Javier Martin Hill, who's trailing on the far post. He's only 8 yards out, but he just kind of shanks it.
He wanted it really badly, you know.
So
it just
bad.
Didn't, and he was quite upset with himself. He could tell.
He was. He put his foot through it, but it was an off frame. So apparently there's a questionable penalty call. Let's move on and talk about some really good news in addition to Leigh Veidman being signed to an extension about Velocity FC. And I'm talking about Velocity FC 1, Charlotte Independence 0. Velocity came into this game with 1 win from 6 and had never beaten Charlotte. That hadn't occurred to me. I think we've maybe earned a point a couple times, maybe something, but they have kind of had the better of us.
That's hard to believe.
It is, but the announcer said it, and I had somebody giving me shit on Discord about it, saying that they just wanted to see us lose again to Charlotte so that I could freak out about it, because I know I don't like Charlotte, and I'm public about that. Cameron Miller got booked in the 21st minute. Okay. You saw that challenge that resulted in the booking. You want to describe what happened in it?
Like Cam did something that a lot of players do, like the player probably should have done to Tori so she wouldn't have scored when she started running across the back line. Like, that got his arms involved. And then as they wrapped up, he like ended up spinning around and like catching him in the face with like an elbow. It looked actually pretty bad. So that's yellow card number 1.
So it was another upper body strike?
Yeah, I don't know that there's much to argue with about this one.
Okay, yep.
So that's yellow card number 1. Yellow card number 2.
And that happened in minute 21.
Mm-hmm. Minute 33. There's like just a ball in the air, and like that's what Cam likes to do. So Cam goes up for it. And the guy, what's his name? John Baquero kind of comes in with like that little brother energy, like, let me in. And Cam just kind of like swats him away. Now, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
But the referee comes over, looks down at the guy on the ground. And this always bothers me when refs do this. Granted, I do think it's a yellow.
Yeah.
But it bothers me when they're like, well, what's the damage? I'm like, no. You saw the tackle. You saw the challenge.
Sure.
You should know whether it's a foul or not, or whether it's a card or not. Like, I don't need to see the leg broken in half to know it's a red card, right?
Sure.
So he comes over and what he sees is that the guy's swelling up. This is what one of the players told me. The guy was already swelling up. So then he sees that and gives the yellow.
Yeah.
Which bothers me a little, but if you do watch it, Cam does catch him. His arm's out. Anytime you get a hand or a forearm, certainly an elbow to above the chin, refs are instructed to give out yellow and red cards for that kind of stuff.
Here are my myriad problems with this call. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not even saying necessarily that it wasn't a foul or even necessarily wasn't a yellow card. But 28-year-old midfielder John Baquero. Baquero does, it's an empty stadium because no one shows up to watch Charlotte Independence. No one in Charlotte even likes them. He lets out this Wilhelm scream. If you don't know what that is, Google it.
I do.
He lets out a Wilhelm scream. And, I think the problem that I have is two things. One, what is the intention of the player? And is his body in a natural position when he goes to jump for the ball? And I'm talking about Cam. So Baquero kind of shifts over on a 50-50 challenge, knowing he's giving up inches of height to Cam. So when Cam jumps in a natural body position, when you jump, your arms go up with you. This is not dissimilar to the situation with, are your arms in a natural position when a handball is called? So on a 50-50, is Baquero making a meaningful attempt to get the ball? Yeah, it looked to me like he slid over. I always analogize to basketball, but almost like slid over to try to get the block called, or the charge rather. He's trying to get a charge called against Cam Miller. Kind of knows what he's doing. And he's clever. He knows that this kid's on a yellow. Now, should Cam be more careful? I guess. But then again, I don't even think he really saw Baquero sliding over, willing to like run into his rib cage and try to jump up with him like a little seal. It bugged me. So I just don't like the intentionality, the natural body position, the fact that I think that the player was trying to get this to happen, lets out the Wilhelm scream in an empty stadium because, again, no one wants to watch Charlotte play. Anyway, what this means, though, for the next roughly 60 minutes is that they effectively have to kill this game off. And I'm thinking, God forbid, like, let's get out of North Carolina with a point. That was my thinking for the rest of this game. So the half ends, almost nothing interesting happens. But then this is what's really interesting about the second half, Mike. Watching this game in real time, coming off of the Omaha result, coming off the Texoma result, coming off the Chattanooga result, coming off the Greenville result, I'm just like, I'm feeling a little beleaguered, honestly. I'm like, this is just not going our way. Reminds me, we went on a kind of a slide before the playoffs last year. And I was like, oh, this is just a drag. And I didn't really pay attention to the fact that off went Nil Vinyals, Andre Lewis, and Louise Heel. Talking about Leigh Veidman here, the choice he made. On comes Masongo Akale, Bryce Meredith, and Pierre Reedy. This is how they were set up for the second half. Minute 52, Carlos Marancio makes a very nice save from a decent effort from Charlotte. It's a cross played from Christian Chaney into the box. Tumo Moshobane's header is scooped up by Carlos, and no harm, okay? But I would say for the vast majority of the second half, things look actually really comfortable for Velocity FC. They do not look like they're playing with 10 men on the road, okay? Charlotte are doing nothing. Minute 65 is the first example of like, welcome back Pierre Reedy. Cuts in on his left foot, gets a shot on target. It's easily saved, but it's like things are starting to look okay.
He went by that guy with like such ease.
Oh,
like that was... That, like when you say we're with 10 and a half because Pierre is 1.5 players.
He really is. It's so insane. 4 minutes later, he does it again. The ball's played in behind Charlotte's back line by Nico Brett. It's a great ball from Nico. Spot the run by Pierre. But then again, it's like one of those things where you just give Pierre that tiny bit of space and he creates like yards out of that little bit of space with his pace. Gets off a shot, but it's just off target. Carlos makes a couple more saves from half chances, but then Mike Pellicio, minute 87. Again, things are going well, and I'm engrossed. Bryce Meredith in the half space on the right side of the pitch, okay? Between two defenders. Kind of inexplicably, and I want to know what you think of this description. He's being defended by two players. The fullback presses him with his body, expecting him to look for a back pass to Colin Fernandez, is what I kind of think was happening here. It's like, this kid's a 6. He's going to play it to the other 6. They play with a double pivot. So Bryce says, okay, thanks very much. Takes the space that's given to him, takes one touch toward the box, picks out a run from Siobhan John Brown, and just a peach of a pass from Bryce Meredith. Siobhan gets on the end of it, just about falls over, but cushions the ball perfectly back to the trailing Pierre Reedy. And time literally slowed down for me here, Mike. All I could think was, please put it on frame. I love Pierre, but the one thing in his game that he's talked to me about in the past is like, my finishing, I just got to make good on the chances I get. I do all the really, really hard stuff. And then sometimes he fluffs his lines, as the English would say. But no, he is freaking clinical. Tucks it inside the far post. It's 1-0. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm watching Jalen Suggs hit the three-quarter length court shot in the March Madness. Anyway, tell me what you thought of this moment with Bryce Meredith, because I think this starts with Bryce. Bryce deserves some flowers, because what did he do here? And what was that defender thinking?
Yeah, that defender was thinking that I'm going to cheat this. Like,
yes.
He's like big time, like took liberties, went way out of the defensive position for it. And like, the funny thing is, just let him play the ball back. Like, the one thing you can't do is let him go forward, and also press on the wrong side, which would confuse your back line, which I think is what happened too. So yeah, that guy was out of his mind. I think he was frustrated, thinking we should be winning. We're up a man. It's been how many minutes? 40 something, 50 something. So he made a ridiculous decision. And then Bryce was like, all right, well,
thank you very much.
Under these circumstances, I have no problem being a 10.
Yeah. Do you think he was hoping that this was I'm going to cheat. I'm going to help spring a counter?
Honestly, I don't even think that there was that much upside, because like the way he pressed it, it was like he was going to press the next ball.
Incredible moment. There is a claim of a handball in minute 95, and I want your thoughts on this. The ref wasn't having it.
Let me just give you some context around this.
Okay.
I was watching this on my laptop like I am now, and I was sitting with the Project Inspire folks that, administer the Inspire League. So Joao Gomero was sitting there telling a story about bicycling, and it was actually a really hysterical story. And then I just had to stand up and fist pump and scream, and it just destroyed his story. Everyone crowds around my computer. We watch it, right? So like, that's how excited we were.
Yeah.
And then Joao went right back to his story once I finished. Like, didn't miss a beat. It was really hysterical that he went right back into it. But we all watched this. So, Joao is a professional soccer player, and we watched it. And my first thought was, first, thank you, referee.
Totally.
Secondly, that was definitely a handball. That's my first thought.
Same.
And we're getting out of jail. And then when we watched it, it was like, oh, not at all.
No.
Arm was tucked in.
Ball's tucked in. His arm was tucked in. It was ball to, not arm, ball to elbow.
He wasn't like this.
Yeah, he's like this.
There's no issues. Not even a little bit.
Body totally in a natural position. Yeah. It was a great no call from the ref, dude.
But refs call that all the time.
I'm so stunned it wasn't called.
Yeah. It looked in real time, and I wouldn't have even faulted the referee for it.
I probably wouldn't be there. I probably wouldn't be there, because he could have easily thought that Derek's arm was up a bit high, and then it caught him on the top of it actually caught him on the elbow.
Yeah.
And his arm was tucked in.
Or like, just feeble-minded referee gets yelled at by 11, players of Charlotte, and how many fans are there? 300?
Dude.
300 fans.
He didn't want 300 rowdy Charlotte residents yelling at him.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just an incredible result. Let's talk about some of the stats and takeaways for Velocity FC through 26 games. I want to describe where things are after this game. There's like an accountability that teams and their players, I think, have to supporters. There's a tension, I think, in the relationship where sometimes you just got to go out there and give the supporters some belief. You got to give yourself some belief. And I think when that sending off happened, it's like showing up isn't good enough. It's not good enough for the players. It's not good enough for us as supporters. And that's what the Charlotte game meant to me. It is so huge to be able to go into one stadium on Saturday with that result fresh in our minds. And so I think that is what I really liked about this game and the result, and the critical importance of it. I haven't chatted with Leigh, but I can't imagine that Leigh feels differently. Things were not going our way. And suddenly I've got my starting center half booked in minute 21, sent off 10 minutes later, and I'm on the road. And we're in this position with all these things that have gone wrong since that Westchester game, right? To where with 3 games left, we have a game in hand. We're a goal behind Chattanooga on goal difference and 3 goals behind 1 Knox. Right now, it's like, first and foremost, we have to host a playoff game at one stadium. But we have a chance for the Players' Shield still because of this result. If that result doesn't go our way, and we needed all 3 points, it's probably why I felt the way I did after the sending off. It's like, God dang it. Now I think I even said this to my wife, Ray. I was like, we're just playing to host a playoff game, which is great. But now I really wanted the Players' Shield, and all season, this thing, talk to anyone who's following the team closely, they'll tell you the same thing. This should have been out of sight. We should have been Players' Shield winners this year, but there's been so many things that have just been lapses in concentration or whatever that have led to where we are. But you know what? It was a remarkable result, and I'm so stoked about it. What are your thoughts about what I just had to say?
There's a lot there that I like really agree with. So I do think that, Leigh and the players would have thought like we owe this to our supporters. And I think our supporters have been wonderful. So yeah, they want to go win the game. That's, 1, first and foremost. 2, it's so tight at the top. We're talking about hosting games. And yeah, you want to host a game, but we don't know if we're going to play a 7 or an 8 seed in the final. Like, dude, you may host your first game in the final. Like, you really don't know. So,
I know. And also, let me just tell you who's in like 7th and 8th. The hottest team in League One.
Omaha.
South Georgia Tormenta, believe it or not.
Really?
Omaha, actually, they're in 5th now, but we're playing Tormenta on Saturday. I think they're 6 unbeaten with their new manager. If I'm getting any of this wrong, you DM me. But like Tormenta, they're 6 wins in a row, dude. And they're coming into one stadium in the hottest form in the league. Omaha right behind them. They've got 3 wins in a row, 5 unbeaten, at least 5 unbeaten going by the table here. But yeah, we could be playing South Georgia Tormenta. We could be playing Charlotte. We could be playing Portland Hearts of Pine. They did have back-to-back losses going into their next game against 1 Knox, which won't be easy for them. But I'll end here with some descriptions of what is happening. As mentioned before, defensively, and thanks to Carlos, we're still a very difficult team to score against. But we have just not been productive enough in attack. These are some stats that I just don't think we would want to have at this point in the season. Lucky Oprah leads the team with 4 assists. Anwar has 8 goals. Luis has 5. Luis is 3rd in the league with chances created, but Velocity are tied with 10th place AV Alta with goals scored. Fortunately, having said that, we are 2nd in the league with fewest goals conceded. So it's similar to what we were describing with Zephyr. It's just like defensively very solid, but it's a huge game. And I can't wait to see what happens. You're going to be there, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
You know what's funny? I forgot this one. We owe a massive shout out to Lucky for just sliding into center back. He'll probably have to do that again this weekend.
Yeah.
But like, he was phenomenal. Like, if you'd have showed me his highlight reel
against
and then
Charlotte,
said, just in general, no, like his seasonal highlight reel, and then said, do you think this player could go do a job at center back? I'd be like, no. Yeah. Like, you're going to need to put like Colin or Bryce there. Like, you're going to have to drag.
Yeah, because we've had a couple, I think I've brought this up on the podcast. He's been responsible for a couple lapses in focus and concentration that have led to back post goals in particular. But yeah, you're right.
He had no issues. Like, he looked like he'd played there 100 times before. Maybe he has, for all I know, but like, no problem. And again, with that smile on his face too.
Totally. I do think he has had some center half experience playing for Northern Colorado. The loss of David Garcia, I hope to see him back. I have been given some impressions that it's a muscle thing that hopefully he'll be back. It's not like some long-term thing. We can't overstate the return of Pierre Reedy. Oh, it's like he threw the cape on. He's like, oh, really? We need these points in Charlotte, the place where, speaking of the Colin Fernandez fake on Luis Alvarez last year, that was the game where he pings one of those balls down to Pierre Reedy, who gets taken down in the box by Cease. And it wasn't Cease. I can't remember that player. But anyways, remember that no call penalty?
Let it go, yeah.
Yeah. So Pierre had some unfinished business in Charlotte. So shout out, Pierre. We love you. You know how we feel about you. Let's wrap this thing up. This podcast is going to be so long. Be sure to follow the show on Instagram. I will be making a very cool announcement of an event that's going to be happening at Flat Stick Stick Pub involving Zephyr FC, maybe Nicole Lukic, maybe Ali Cook, maybe Lena Solano. Who could say, Mike? But there's going to be some Zephyr FC players. We're going to do something really fun. Next up, the last home game of the 2025 regular season for Velocity FC. That's hosting South Georgia Tormenta here, 6 p.m. on Saturday. Zephyr FC are hosting Dallas Trinity here at home, 4 p.m. on Sunday. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for being as patient as you have been, as I have had some things to sort out, including getting this guy into that chair over there. And of course, thank you, Mike Pellicio. Welcome to the Spokane Soccer Show, brother.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you next time.